out of Atlantic City, which is where John is from. As you know, casinos have taken over the whole Gulf Coast down here. There will be 40 major casinos down the strip from Mississippi to Louisiana by the end of next year. They're mega casinos, among the largest ever built anywhere in the world. But one of the things that John is down here for is that there was some people from the Crime Commission speaking in Mobile and trying to stop gambling in the state of Alabama. And John was down here as an expert from the other side to talk about what it means to an area. But going back further, Dr. Glassey has a PhD from University of Pennsylvania in rehabilitative medicine. So he has worked in the area of medicine. He played pro hockey for the Philadelphia Flyers when they won the Stanley Cup for a number of years. So he's played at the pro level. He went through a very unusual set of degrees. He has several master's degrees, but where he was allowed to go to a wide range of universities and do a wide range of work, and brought it all together in a rather interesting kind of a academic program. John has got a very strong background in professional television. So he's done the Super Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, so he's been on that side of the thing also. His relationship to the Academy, he's a member of our national faculty. As I said, he was our MC. He's done his little tape for us. And we're going to start the program by taking a look at the marketing tape, because I think it'll provide some insight to you on some of the things we do in the Academy Awards. And then John can get up and he can talk about whatever he wants to talk about. Professional sport, I think casinos. Let me make a point there. With many of you a couple of weeks ago, I spoke to you about the new kinds of opportunities that are out there in management, and or in sport, or in recreation, and they're numerous. The whole shift in casinos today, when I was up meeting with him, and we were going to hold the Academy Awards in the casinos in Atlantic City a year ago, I went from casino to casino to meet the management, the organization. The great new shift towards recreation programs, theme parks, whatever. All of those programs need people in recreation or sport management. There are just endless opportunities. It's one of the reasons we want to develop a travel and tourism degree here at the Academy. That's the same thing that is happening in the theme parks that are being built all the way down the strip. So there are opportunities for people like you in that area, should you have that kind of interest or inclination. Are you about ready there?
I just want to see if I can get it a little higher.
The way you're going at it, I think you're going to get it like very low on the floor. You're ready to go with that. This again is a marketing tape that we will show to Fox and so forth. Again, the quality of the tape itself is not good, but the overall idea is very, very good. I should never use audio visually.
How do you like it so far? Got you just drift. Anybody that's used this before, feel free to step up.
So much for student services, right? Why don't you just take some 40 minutes, talk about whatever you want to talk about. because he makes the team. Captain Master's got it.
Give these guys a couple minutes to try to get this thing squared away. All is not right with the world. Right about this moment, the New York Rangers are freeing around with the Stanley Cup in New York City. So you know the world is upside down. You've got a Boston College shirt on. How can you hear that? I actually rooted for the Rangers in this, although I come out of the Philadelphia organization. I think one of the things that comes through in sports at some point in your life is that you really don't play sports for the media. You don't even play for fans. Wait a minute, we're on. You can see this here. Uh-oh. Okay. We're ready. You're ready. Let it rock and roll. We'll see this first. Upcut, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to position the Academy Awards Board different than any other award show that's out there currently. If you watch the ESPYs now that ESPN has put out, they try to take a lighthearted look at sport and take it away from some of the seriousness that some of the other award shows go to. What we've tried to do is we've tried to take this back to a more formal presentation because it is artistic in nature. So we tried to put together an informational package because, quite honestly, most of the people at the network that we've been talking to don't have any idea what we're talking about when we describe the Academy Awards of Sport. So we are trying to position this as if this is like the Academy Awards that they put out in Hollywood, except for the whole focus is on sports or sport artists. And we quite honestly gotten a very good reaction from the networks, not because this is so terrific or we're all so terrific. It's just that we happen to be there at the right time. As most of you know, CBS lost the NFL last year, and they are looking for product. Fox is trying to make a statement in the media world that they are now the major player, so they are looking for product. And USA Network is afraid that this whole thing is passing them by, so they're looking for product. They're all looking for different types of things. Now, high on their shopping list is not an award show. They are really looking for athletic competition because they think that's what draws people in. But right underneath athletic competition, what draws people in is the opportunity to see celebrities, to see big names. And by the fact that we could throw in so many big names that have come to this facility and have received these awards, they have some interest in it. So it really revolves around bringing the big names to the deal. So we are actually going to go back now and sort of clean this up. I wanted the staff here to see it first before we put it into final form and put it out onto the market. This probably serves as a good illustrative point of what I wanted to talk about this morning. I mean, this must be a mandatory convocation for you all to be here because I'm certainly you didn't come to hear me or see me or ever heard me before. But the reason I think this point gives across an interesting point. As Dr. Razovich was saying, I have a very interesting background in diversity. I'm one of those kind of people that's really not good at anything, but I'm good enough in a lot of different fields. We have a kindred spirit in the fact that I come out of academia. I was a teacher, a principal, a superintendent, and a professor, and I obviously went through all this academia stuff that you're going through right now. And I'm also out of the world of sports. And yes, I am living proof that not all hockey players have lost all their teeth and are terribly stupid. We are close, but we are not all terribly stupid, and these are all my own teeth, which is an indication of how bad of a hockey player I was. It is very difficult to lose your teeth sitting on the bench, where I spent almost my entire career. But I think that the illustrative point that I'm trying to make here is that there is so much opportunity out there in so many ways to get around this area of sports and society that there are a lot of ways that you can go forth from here and do what you want to do. I think that the most important thing that you have to learn, or maybe the lesson that you learn from my experience, is that the only person who can set limits on what you will do will be you. I know that when I was growing up, I'm an American, so first of all, to go and play hockey as an American is a rarity. Although this year, for the very first time, the Conn Spike Stanley Cups is an American, prime league for the New York Rangers. But they tell you that you can't play hockey, we can't compete with the Canadians because these kids grew up around. I proved that wrong. My dad's a plumber, my mom's a cook, and I ended up at the University of Pennsylvania in the Wharton School, which is also unheard of because that's a very elite school, very big bucks. Everybody goes to that school has got deep pockets. I had no pockets when I went there. I actually made money during school cutting people's hair in the dorm and ironing shirts of the kids that were going out at night. And I used to just iron the front that would be seen. I wouldn't do the whole shirt. I would do the cuffs and stuff. But I mean, I was really out of place there. And then everybody, when I was in the med school side, everybody said, well, what's your father's specialty? Because almost all of their parents were doctors. And I said, well, my father specializes in flushes, plumber son and stuff. So I sort of overcame that. And a lot of people were like, why are you here? Well, then after I went through all that and I went through this professional sports world thing and academia, I got involved in the business world. And right now I find myself up to my eyeballs in the casino world. And this really freaks people out because they don't see the combination. They don't see the carryover of the interlinking of all these different things. And what it is that most of the people who ask me those questions do so because they have blinders on. They have these very narrow perspectives to this. I'm sure a lot of you, just from looking at you, a lot of you have been jocks most of your life. And there are labels put all over you when you're a jock. Most of it, most of them think that you're rather stupid to begin with. They find that very amazing that you can think. And they all think that you're going to do sports while you're in school, but after that you go out and get a real job, whatever that means. And they constantly want to put you in these boxes. Women particularly have had this problem for years. First of all, you weren't supposed to be in sports. You had no business being in sports. That was the boys' side of the deal. And secondly, what were you going to do with it when you got out of school? Well, I'm sort of living proof right now is that you can do anything you want to do with it because what you're really learning is the ability to adapt and the way to analyze a situation, establish what a potential is, and achieve that potential, whatever it is. The schools and the academia that I focused on was for handicapped people. I'm very involved in Special Olympics and the Tournament Champions, which is a sport program for physically handicapped. And the whole game in that world is whether the person's a paraplegic or quadriplegic or blind or deaf, whatever the handicap is, try to find something that is the challenge limit for them. For kids that are spastic, maybe the idea is to throw a softball 6 feet, not 60 feet, but 6 feet. So you establish a competitive level there, put the challenge there, help them train and get to the point where they can try to achieve their goal. And if they achieve their goal, they'll feel wonderful. If they don't achieve their goal, they'll feel good that they attempted to achieve their goal. And you set that parameter for it. And it's a marvelous experience. If you've never gotten involved in it, I heartily endorse you to do it. Go out and get involved with that kind of stuff because it changes your focus from you to something greater than you. And that always makes life a lot better. The point was that I learned in that case that what I was doing was trying to figure out what was the potential, devise some strategies to help that individual get to that point, and then after they got to that point, enjoy the experience of that. Just like the New York Rangers did this week. I mean, they knew what their goal was. They knew where they wanted to go. And if you watched the game the other night, watched after the game, you saw that unbridled joy that comes from achieving it. And achieving it with somebody else makes it all the difference in the world. Quite honestly, the New York Rangers, the guys on the team, and I can speak from personal experience because I know a lot of guys on both sides of that series. They didn't win that because of the curse, and they didn't win it for the city of New York, and they didn't win it for a lot of other things. They won it for the guys in that room. They won it because when you lace up your skates every day, you learn to depend on him, and he learns to depend on you. And you develop a brotherhood. You develop this family. And all that other stuff, all whatever the media says, all whatever they want to hype up, that doesn't mean squat to you in the room. The only thing that matters in the room is you do your best to not let down your teammates, to get there, to achieve that goal. That's what they were after, and that's what, for me anyway, has happened. Every career I've gone into, I have found it to be the exact same thing, whether it be in the business world, casinos, whether it be with handicapped athletes, whether it be in academia, or whether it be in television production. When we put on the Super Bowl, I was involved in the halftime show at Pasadena 2 years ago, the one that Michael Jackson did his show. I mean, what a rush this is to realize that you're putting together an event that is involving in that particular event on the field at that one time. We had 17,000 people working to put together an 11-minute performance. We had to put it on a field where they were competing for the Super Bowl, and we had to tear it down and get it off of that field, all within a 17-minute time span. 11 minutes of production. So we knew how much time we had on both sides of it to set it up, do it right, and then tear it down and get the hell out of the way so they could get back on with the football game. Well, there wasn't much of a football game. It's typical in the Super Bowl. What a rush that is to get all those people to work together, establish what your goal is, and you know, in that case, it's very clear what the goal is. You're going to try to entertain over 1 billion people all around the world. When we hit the air with that show, I know that there are eyeballs all over the globe watching this happen. The camera shot that you're calling, you're saying, you know, give me 2 on 4, give me the shot of the air coming up on top of Michael or something like that. I know when I call that shot, 1 billion sets of eyeballs are going to be watching that. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. It really doesn't. And the nice thing about it, after it's all over, you realize that you have done the formula again. You have established what's your goal, where are you trying to get to, and then figure out how you get there, strategize that, and then work with a bunch of people to have it all happen. It's a super moment, and it can happen in television, it can happen one-on-one with a handicapped athlete, it can happen in any field that you choose. In the gaming world, as much as that sounds like it's outside of all these other things, it fits in with the exact same pattern. Is that the gaming world is essentially an entertainment world. People like to go out and have a good time. People like to go out with the thought, the dream, is that they're going to make a lot of money that night. You know, when you go to the dinner, when you go out to dinner and go to a movie, you know you're going to spend X amount of dollars. You have absolutely no chance of getting that money back. You give it to the restaurant, you give it to the movie house. Hopefully you like the meal. Hopefully you like the movie, and you go home. You have exchanged money for a period of time to bring you pleasure. That's what you're doing when you're going out. The difference between that and the gaming world is that you go out and you're going to give the gaming operator, casino in this case, X amount of dollars, and you want to get enjoyment out of that, but you have the chance, although it's a very slim one, you have a chance that you're going to get your money back and a whole lot more money. That's why you play the lottery. Those of you who play the lottery. Speaking as a hypocrite here, I do not gamble. Although I did get married once, that is a gamble. That's a different story altogether. Talk about crashing burn. But anyway, that's what the whole gaming experience is about, and that's what we were trying to do when we got into developing mega resorts and putting in theme parks and putting in virtual reality centers and putting on shows, bringing headliners in. That is our goal. Our goal is not just to get as much money as possible from the guy that walks in the door, because if we did that, we would only have one-time customers. They would not come back because they would not enjoy themselves. Our goal is to have people have a good time. In exchange for that, they're going to give us some money. It's a beautiful world. You know, it's the deal. You work with them. And that's why in our enterprises, in the company that I'm associated with, one of the reasons why we're successful and why some of our competitors are very successful. They understand that concept. They have very clearly identified a goal. They strategize how do we get there, and they get a bunch of people to work together. Because if the company has the idea and the people who work in a company don't buy into it, it's going to fail. And they're going to go out of business. They're going to fail just as miserably as can be. But if everybody buys into that concept and knows that's what the goal and they're all working together, you can all achieve it. So the moral of the story here is that I have found in my experiences, and I'm an old person compared to most of you, is that you can apply this in whatever field you want to do. The lessons that you might be learning here and the lessons that you're able to figure out here in terms of challenging yourself to become whatever you want to be really is applicable to anything you decide you want to do. There's only 2 basic rules to it. 1, don't let anybody else limit you. Don't let anybody tell you that you can or cannot do something. Even if you try and fail, you fail because you tried. Don't fail because you didn't try. Because one of the things we always say in hockey, I can absolutely guarantee you that 100% of the shots you don't put towards the net will not go in. They always tell you that. You know, the only way you're going to score that goal is if you shoot towards that net. Every time you pass that puck off, if you have the shot, you ain't going to score. Unless Dave Babbage is playing, you can put one off his butt. He scored 3 off of his butt. I just would have looked for Babbage, shot off of him all day long. The other rule, see the hockey guys get that. The other rule, not only do you have to not set limits on yourself, is understand, and understand this clearly if you don't know this by now. You are going to get knocked on your butt in this lifetime. It happens to all of us. It happens to us sometimes repeatedly. The difference is what you do after you get knocked on your butt. There are people who spend the rest of their life on their butt because they got knocked down. There are people who get up but spend the rest of their life talking about how they got knocked on their butt. And then there are those people, and I think most of you probably fit into this category. When you get up, you say, I got knocked on my butt. What can I learn from it? And how can I avoid it from happening again? That's the real key. If you don't think that you're not going to go forth from here and go out and fail in your life, you're on drugs. Because I'm going to tell you, I don't care who you are, I don't care how big you are, I don't care how successful you are, we all fail at some point. The real difference between us and other people comes down to what do we do from that point forward. So, if anything you can learn from today is, I'm living proof that you can take very little talent and do quite well out there in the world just because I'm not afraid to fail. I mean, I have failed, but I'm not afraid of it because I know that if I fail, I can learn from it, I can go on and do something else. And trust me, I'm not being humble, I'm not giving you false humility here. I am mediocre in most things that I do. I am really a mediocre person in a lot of fields. The difference between me and most of the yahoos that are out there is that I'll give it a whirl, even if I fail. And once I go out there, I find out that most people I beat simply because they don't try. They don't give it a whirl. They go like, oh, I can't do that. I can't. How do you know you can't do it? Try it. Give it a whirl. And then when you can't do it, it's like, oh, there's something I can't do. You know, learn that. I won't do that again. You just got to give it a whirl and get out there and try. And don't let anybody set rules on you. I mean, look at the size of me, and you realize how many times I went up against guys a lot bigger and a lot more talented than me. And I enjoyed being involved with the Stanley Cup, winning the greatest trophy, in my opinion, the greatest trophy in sports, because you are playing for something where everybody plays for the trophy to play. You know, the other things, you play in the Super Bowl, you play in the World Series. In professional hockey, you play for the Stanley Cup. And it's unbelievable. When you carry that and when you drink from that cup, I'm telling you what, it's amazing experience. Absolutely amazing experience. So just don't ever quit. You heard Jimmy Galvano say, he said, don't ever give up. Don't ever give up. And the biggest problem is too many people give up before they even start. They're late before they try. Give it a whirl and just realize sometimes you're going to get knocked down, but get up. Questions? Anybody got any questions? Yes, I got this ugly on my own. It wasn't hockey. Yes.
What are exactly doing in the industry right now? And is any other, are you tying sports into it anyway?
Absolutely. Good question. My job with our company is that I go out and look for opportunities all over the world. We are currently developing a complex in Melbourne, Australia. We have a likelihood that we may be doing something in Dublin, Ireland this year. We are all over America. We're doing stuff everywhere in America. We're in Vancouver, on Vancouver Island. So I go out and find opportunity, analyze it, see whether or not it's something that fits our company and our goals and our manpower needs and all that kind of stuff, and then bring it back to the corporation and say, here's something I think we ought to do. We do our due diligence, crystallize a little bit more, make a decision whether we go or do not go. That's what I'm personally doing. Do we involve sports? Well, we actually involve sports in a couple of different ways. We certainly involve sports from the marketing side because athletes are an incredible draw for the common public. They love to see the people they see on television all the time. They love to see them up close and personal. You might notice over in Mississippi, they have Kenny Stabler and all that kind of stuff over there. I have put on events in casino complexes in Atlantic City and Connecticut and such. ESPN boxing shows with Tommy Morrison. I brought Carl Truth Williams in for a fight. celebrity events or sport events to a property draws people. And that's what your business is all about, bringing a critical mass of people. So from that standpoint, marketing, we do a lot with sports. We also do a secondary thing, which is manpower within our staff. This is a very highly intense personal business, a very necessary business that your people have to be in shape or try to be in shape, and that they understand that the relationship that they have with the customer goes a long way on bringing that customer back to your property 2, 3, 4, 5 times a year. It's like if you have a favorite restaurant at home or a favorite bar that you hang out in, you go to that place because you feel comfortable. It's like the TV show Cheers, all you say, go to a place where everybody knows your name and feel comfortable. That is what you strive to do in a resort complex or a gaming complex. And the only way you establish that is you don't get the president of the company or the vice president of the company to that. You have to have every line employee, the person that greets you at the door, the valet parker, the waiters, the waitresses, the dealers, everybody's got to feel that way. The only way you can get people on that energy level is keep them in shape. And so you try to encourage a lot of fitness programs, a lot of fun activities. People that work in these complexes are no different than people in general America. They don't like to exercise. They don't like to work out. They don't like to do all the right things. So you have to find sneaky ways to do it. And they have things like, competitions and volleyball leagues and a bowling league and this league and that league, just to try to keep the people very physically active, because the more physically active you keep them, the more intellectually active they are, in our opinion, the better feel they have about themselves, and the better camaraderie that develops between the team. And we believe that to be a very important component. So we actually work on both sides of it. A third way that we get involved in sports, I've been very involved in Special Olympics since 1971, and we strongly encourage our employees to get involved in community activities in a variety of them. I try to push them towards the Special Olympics just because I think they walk away so much richer for the experience. In Connecticut, on a place we developed on an Indian reservation, we had the largest fundraiser in the state of Connecticut for the Special Olympics. We had our employees run the entire state with a torch for Special Olympics, getting funds to raise money to run the Connecticut state. So that's how sports interrelates with our business in virtually every facet of it. Yes, sir.
What is your position on the casinos in the area, and what kind of opportunities are there?
Well, I'm obviously in favor of it for selfish reasons, because our company stands to do a lot with it. We bought the GM&O building over in Mobile, the old train station, which, just as a footnote to history, is the building where Satchel Paige got his nickname Satchel. He used to carry 2 bags on a stick across his shoulders. They say it looked like a satchel tree, and that's where he got his nickname, which I find a nice little interesting side story. But we own that building, so we would be in the business big time in Mobile or Alabama. But I think it's more of an economic question for the state of Alabama, is that right now that they know over $40 million last year that was spent in Mississippi came from Alabama. And I don't think, if you make your own decision in the state, whether or not you want gaming or you don't want gaming, that's one issue. But when the states around you are doing it and your money is outflowing, it becomes a survival technique. And it gets to be, we've got to keep our money at home, and we also have to employ our people here. I mean, I forget what the latest statistic is over there in terms of employees, but I understand it's closing in somewhere around 25,000 people are employed in Mississippi. A lot of them used to be people who lived in Alabama. Now they're going over there and work. That's where they're earning the money and spending it. That nature. There's a great deal of opportunity. A casino complex, particularly those that build hotels and other things with them, essentially become mini cities. Anything you can think of that happens in a city happens in those complexes. One of the places I worked for 2 years in Lake City was Merv Griffin's Resort. And we had, finance people, life safety people, nursing people, dealers, cleaning people, electricians, plumbers. I mean, you name what happens in society, that's what you have to have in your workforce. In our complexes back there, we hire about 3,000 people per complex. In the state of Connecticut, the last place that we put together in Foxford, it's called, it's on an Indian reservation. We are now the second, or they are now, because I'm no longer there. They are now the second largest employer in the state of Connecticut, and 10,000 employees. And you could just about name any title in society, and I'll say they have it there, including instructors, professors, because they run their own teaching academies in customer service, upgraded accounting methods, management style. I mean, everything. They teach everything. Yes, ma'am.
Are you going to be involved in any more Indian gaming?
Probably. We are right now discussing with the Nanaimo tribe in Vancouver Island, Vancouver, British Columbia, the development of their resort complex. Their Vancouver Island is about a 45-minute ferry ride outside of the city of Vancouver. Gaming is not on Indian reservations yet in Canada, but it is just around the corner. The Nanaimos would like to do development on their complex. They want a hotel, they want an amusement center, they need some restaurants. They need a lot of infrastructure there. They don't really have a sewage system, they don't have a housing system, they have a power plant. The only way they can build all of that is they have to find a money generator. Gaming happens to be the in thing for the past 5-6 years, probably for the next 5 or 6 years it'll be it's on a roll right now. So they're thinking about doing it. So we may work with them. I have turned down a couple of other tribal situations. It is very difficult to work it's very difficult for a white person to go in and work within a reservation system in America from the standpoint that our cultures are very, very different. And for us to go in and lay our culture on top within the reservation is not a very easy match. It doesn't fit well. It's a lot of difficulty. And then because we are very limited. We can only give advice and consent there. We can't stop them from doing things which we believe are hurting themselves. In some of the Indian reservations in the United States, they have made so much money and they are not listening to their advisors as to how they should hold some of that money, save some of the money, do things. And a lot of money coming into a very poor community is very dangerous. I'll just tell you one little side story just to show you how different the society is. When the first checks of bonuses came out to the tribe when I was in Connecticut, it was a great deal of money for people who had been very poor. I mean, very poor. And one of the women on the reservation went down to the local appliance store and bought every single appliance that you can name in a house in one day. A refrigerator, freezer, a CD player, a big screen TV, a video camera, a washer, a dryer, a dishwasher. Every single piece of equipment that was in this thing, she bought and put in her house. She was out of control. I mean, talk about an addictive activity, that's it. And you can't stop that. It's very frustrating to be around that and see people hurting themselves and not be able to come back. So the long-winded answer is yes, we'll probably do it. I don't think we'll do a great deal of it because it's a tough environment to work with. Yes, sir.
Here in South Carolina, it's become a point in South Carolina. We're trying to open casinos along the border. I'm based in Little Beach, large area. To what extent do any negative points come into play there? Have you seen any?
Oh, absolutely. I'm a native of Atlantic City, born and raised there. I was there before gaming. I am there obviously after gaming. My home's still there. There are tremendous social costs associated with this business. Generally speaking, you'll end up with a lot of two-parent working families. Therefore, you end up with latchkey kids. You will also find that kids that get out of high school without going through the collegiate experience will go to a dealing school and within 3 months get their dealing certificate, go out and get a job that pays them approximately, national average right now is about $22,000 to $23,000 a year. These kids are 19 years old, 18, 19 years old. And I know if you had given me when I was 18, $23,000 a year, I'd have been a lunatic. I'm already a lunatic, and I would have been out of control at that point. And that's what happens. They start driving their 280Zs and their Camaros, and they got all that stuff going, and I'm sure they're buying Joy Juice and all that other stuff, So there are some negatives from that standpoint. Thirdly is that it is a major attraction for people, and if the infrastructure of a community is not built to handle tremendous amounts of traffic and people coming through that, and the wackos that people come to people. I mean, the crime rate in Orlando is higher than the crime rate in Atlantic City. And it's not because Orlando's a bad place, it's just there's a lot of people there. That's why, the jerks of the world go there, because they know they can make a move. The term mob, if you've ever heard that term, actually came from the early guys who used to work with squares in ancient times, used to come as a group, and they would bump into people and start stealing and pickpocketing, and that's where the term mob came from. It's an ancient term. Rackets that's associated with organized crime is because they used to make a lot of noise to distract people and distract shopkeepers so they could steal stuff from them. And they're very ancient terms. So there is that element that will come with it. And it's not because the industry brings it, but it brings people. And wherever people go, whether it be Disney World or Times Square or a casino in Myrtle Beach up on, you're going to get that element. So you have to be prepared to meet that. On balance, in my opinion, the positives far outweigh the negatives. But don't for a minute believe there aren't a lot of negatives coming. Housing costs go up, living costs go up because there's a lot of money flowing around all of a sudden. I bought a house the year before gaming was approved in Atlantic City. I bought a house for $32,500 right on the water. Within the first year I was there, the gaming was passed. A guy came up offering me $50,000 cash for it. By the end of that summer, somebody offered me $75,000 cash. I mean, I doubled the price of my house within 1 year. And land values don't like that. Well, when land values start to shoot up, it hurts a lot of people. You know, people that are in rental houses, sometimes all of a sudden you can't rent that house because the guy wants to sell it. So they're out of the house. And a lot of times young married couples that are trying to get enough money together down to get a house, all of a sudden the house is out of sight, you can't buy a house. So it's stuck in rent. So there are negative sides to it. And there are, you know, all the typical things that happen with people that are in it's a high pressure job. A lot of people, very intense. Yep.
He land the Academy Awards Sports, one of the big networks. Does it move? Does it go off to the West Coast, or where do we get the award shows?
That's something that I really need to talk over with the staff here. We have several ways to look at it. The key to make this show very televisable is you got to have the celebrities there. You have to have the names. We can have all the noble purposes in the world. The networks want to see the names. You know, the reason you tune in to watch country music award shows or the Emmy Awards or whatever you do is because you want to see the celebrities. You know, you want to see who's on there, who's not on there. You don't care that they're giving an award out for cinematography. You don't want to see the guy from the accounting firm of Ernst & Young or whoever. You know? You want to see the celebrity. You know, I want to see what Meg Ryan's wearing. I mean, I want to check out Meg when she goes to that. So you got to get those people. If we can't get them to come here, we got to go to them. We would like to keep it here, particularly now with the new convention center, particularly with the way that we think we can make this a big event for the city of Mobile. See, I'm looking at it from a different standpoint as well. I'd like to find a reason to bring these people here and give them a couple of days in the greater Mobile area. Maybe put a golf tournament on down in Fairhope or something like that, do a couple of things with some celebrities. Then you really have a major event. That's where we'd like to go with this thing. And then the media will come here, because media guys like to go out on road trips, and they'll give you a lot more aid. If they're here for 3 days, you get 3 days worth of articles. Because that way they can get out of their office in Oshkosh, Chicago, and Detroit. But you're in Detroit, people. Yes, sir.
Why don't we have legalized sports betting in Atlantic City? Do you think they lose business to Vegas because of that?
Yeah, they have it in Vegas. They don't have it in Atlantic City. First of all, legalized sports betting does not make money for the house. The way the odds are set in legalized sports betting is they try to make it so that as many people will bet for it as against it. And they take a small percentage out, so it's almost like an investment deal for the house. And by the time you figure in your costs of doing stuff, you really don't make money. It is a come on to get people to come into the property and to watch the event. So nobody really pushed for it big time because it's not a big revenue producer. However, there is a great deal of desire to keep betting away from athletic events for obvious reasons. One of the reasons Nevada had it is because there are virtually no major sporting events that happen in Nevada other than boxing. But all of the sports like football, which is the biggest one that people that bet on, and baseball and basketball, and to a lesser extent hockey, because people don't bet on hockey, is that it's away from that mecca, so therefore they let it happen. If you put it in Atlantic City, you put it right in the middle of over 100 million people, and they just thought it was too close to too many of the events going on in Philly, New York, and DC. But they tried to get it on this year, and for political reasons, it was kept off. And when it was kept off the ballot, it now has no opportunity to go on. I would like to have seen it go on. I think it was a mistake, but it was a political decision. You know, politicians, they don't make decisions based on what's good for people. They make decisions for others. Any other questions? The board, you all done? Well, good luck all. I'm glad I had a chance to see y'all. Just give it a whirl. Don't let them knock you down.
Speak first. I will speak briefly second on sport medicine opportunities as I see them, and I'm going to give some ideas which I'm hoping Brian will pick up on for the first part of his talk because he can speak more accurately to them, specifically in relationship to membership in ACSM. So I'll speak second. Dr. Bergman will speak third, and we'll let Dr. Clint Longacre wrap up our group. In a moment, when after Dick comes up here, I'm going to pass the students out on 2 sheets, and they look almost identical, but they're not. One of them is a student, one-page student survey on second summer term, and the other one is a student scheduling survey on the 2 weeks of mini sessions, which are completely voluntary, on Wednesday, August 15th to 19th, and August 22nd to 26th, just trying to get your input on which courses you would like to see offered. And so even if you're not planning on doing minis, or even if you're not planning on being here second summer term because you're graduating or because you're going off to do membership opportunities, I'd like to know that so that I can get some accurate enrollment counts. So if you'll help me out and fill out these 2 forms, one for second summer term, one for summer mini courses, that really will help you with planning. So I'll let Dr. Carroll come up and speak about coaching opportunities.
Well, you've been sitting there for a long time. Why don't you stand up and stretch your legs out a little bit and relax for a couple of minutes. A little stress management, I've got.
Hey, how you feeling today?
Good. A little better.
I'm probably not going to tell you anything that you don't already know, but maybe hearing it again will re-emphasize it perhaps. Obviously, job opportunities in coaching, I think are fairly difficult right now. It's like a lot of things, perhaps as the speaker spoke about earlier this morning, is you get knocked down, you get up, and you just keep going. That kind of describes the job search situation, I think, for a lot of people. Basically, networking is still probably #1 in terms of getting jobs in coaching. The fact that you're here is certainly going to enlarge your network. Don't miss the opportunity, I guess is what